Bill and Peggy Britt, Double Diamond directors are in town. Hello, winners. I guess one of the greatest privileges anyone can have is to be with a lot of people that are on the road to somewhere. Because today there's so many people on the road to nowhere. Peggy and I have been in the business for 9 years, and I can tell you one thing. That if you've made a decision to make it, and if you really want to be successful in life, it takes one very special thing that most people don't have. There's many things required, but there's one thing that's got to be. And I'd like to make that clear to you tonight. And the one thing it really takes to succeed in life with is guts. It takes guts to make good things happen. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that tonight, but first there's a couple of things I'd like to say. I'd like to know this comes from our heart. We are proud of the West Coast. I usually tell people this when I come out here, but maybe some new ones in here, so I want to say it again. If somebody said to me and had the power over my life to say, Bill, you cannot live in North Carolina anymore, and you've got 5 seconds to say where you want to live. And Peggy and I have traveled all over the world, many different countries, in almost every state, major city in the United States, all over this country. And I can tell you you're fortunate, because if somebody would say, you've got 5 seconds to make up your mind, and that's where you have to live for the rest of your life, I would say the great Northwest. You know, we have a little bit of competition going between the East and the West. And I want to tell you that I noticed something very special, and that's a special gleam in the eyes and in the heart of a lot of people out here in the Northwest. There's something special, undeniably, because speaking all over the country about 45 to 46 weekends a year, I get to see it all. And there's just something special about the great Northwest. I don't know what it is exactly. But the gleam in the eye seems to be a little purer, a little stronger. I don't know, maybe it's because a lot of your parents were strong people that came out here the hard way. Don't know what it is exactly, but it's there. And so when we noticed that you wanted to compete with the East Coast, we were a little bit concerned. And you know, we imported or exported people with knowledge on how to build this business, because it isn't difficult, out here for quite a while. And you've already reached the point now that you're exporting from the West back to the East to tell us how you've been doing it, because you have some of the most fantastic leaders in the entire world of Amway right here with you on the West Coast. We're proud of them. And we hope that you too want to be one that's exported from the West to the East, to tell us how you've done it so fast and so strong. As I've been sitting today and listening to the different speakers, one thing kept racing through my mind. I wonder who it's going to be in this great audience. that's going to rise to the top fast. I wonder who it's going to be that has the guts to overcome the stinking thinkers that try to steal your dream from you every day. I wonder who's got the guts to lift themselves up by their own bootstraps if necessary, to rise above those that criticize and minimize the enterprise that separates men from each other. Only you know in your own heart. Only you can make the difference. We can tell you that it's simple. We can show you the way. But only you can determine if you're going to pay the price. If you can overcome status, if you can overcome many of the obstacles that people have to overcome in order through enlightenment, personal enlightenment, to realize that Amway is not just a right, it's a responsibility. And we don't have just a way of selling soap and making money. We have a way of salvaging human beings from the garbage heap of life and helping people become something that were nothing in regard to their human potentials. Now, like some of you may be turned off today, this may be your first function. And as you saw I walk across the stage and speak to you today, I have to tell you, we gave you our very best yesterday, last night, and today. There is none better anywhere in the world of Amway. These are the very best. And if you don't like them, friend, you have got a problem. Now, but some of you may not like it because we opened up with a prayer. Because you see no alcohol here today. I hope you noticed that. Or last night. And you see people loving this country. We admit we're different. And thank God we are. You've seen people from many different walks of life talk to you this weekend, come across the stage. Optometrist, lawyer, engineer, restaurateur. It sounded like a racketeer, but that's Bob Zender. Restaurateur, isn't that right, Bob? Former side-laying bureaucrat in the trough, Renfro. A former football great from the University of North Carolina and an attorney, and all their wives, CPA, dentist, English teacher, truck driver, city manager. And if you pay attention, you'll notice one thing. We all love each other. And we all respect each other. And we all have paid a price to join the same club, to be together. Any club you ever join, if it's worth anything, you're going to have to pay dues. And we'd like to invite you to join our club, but you got to pay the dues. But these people are all people that we know very well and we respect highly because they're making things happen in this country today. They're making freedom live and making living free for people that never understood what living free was. Psychological slavery is the end. Even though physical slavery's been out for over 100 years, psychological slavery's in, but they call us brainwashed. Hope you'll notice a few other things. That for the first time that I know of anything going on in America that's big, we can have people from every different, if there's a category of people that can be identified as something different from anyone else, that in this business, It leaves room for all people, all ages, all backgrounds, all religions, no religions, all races, any race. We don't care where people have been, it's where they're going to go, and that's what the Amway plan is all about. It's about the future, not the past. You know, we're in the business of observing you with your personality. You don't have to be like anybody else. Where you can, by developing your own human potentialities and your own human personality, can become the person you really want to be. You don't have to duplicate anybody else or imitate anybody else. Actually, you duplicate, but you don't imitate. Let me correct that. But you've got what it takes if you'll overcome the small obstacles. The very small obstacles. I'm going to cover how to do that a little bit tonight as a talk, because that's how you make the free enterprise system work. Because you have a dream. Because you have a dream. You know, we're fortunate to be in this country today. We're fortunate to be in this building tonight. And I dare say that if you check the entire country, this very moment, if there's some meter that you could develop that could test the potentiality of people, the happiness of people, the excitement of people, that this place right here would be more positive and have all of these things I just spoke about more so than any other spot anywhere in America right this very moment with the human potential in this room. Now, you know, you can hear a lot of different ways about building a business or different philosophies and theories. People try to get it complicated. You can hear all sorts of things from your relatives and your friends, and I'm not going to put your relatives down. I got a lot of my relatives in the business now. But the big thing is, where do you see yourself in a few years? The big thing is to realize if you try to tiptoe through the tulips and act like you haven't been anywhere, then nothing's going to happen. And that's why I say that it takes guts to be a successful human being. Now, ladies, I hope you don't mind me saying guts, because everybody's got them. It's probably not a nice word, but everybody understands them. You know, I've been around men in my life, a lot of men in the service and in different places as a city manager, and I've seen a lot of men with guts. But I believe, too, that women, I've seen some very strong women that had what it takes to make their dreams come true. I have never seen anything that allowed a woman to become more of what she ought to be than this crazy circle-drawing, soap-selling business. And women can have just as much guts as a man can have, and sometimes they have more, and that's pretty sad. You know, we're fortunate to be one of 17 people born in America. When this country became a country 203 years ago, we had established here not a democracy, but a republic. But we even have presidents now talking about this democracy we have. I hope y'all know the difference. But we purposely intended not to have a democracy. There's never been a democracy that didn't end in despotism. But a republic is what the United States of America is. Not a democracy. A republic. But most people don't know the difference. I was up in Maine not long, in Massachusetts, where some folks that I'm not too overjoyed about live. But I'm not here to be a politician tonight. But one of the TV announcers came on and talked about this socialist experiment in democracy that America is. And of course, I almost put my foot through the TV set right there. Because most people are not aware of why we're here tonight. And the only reason we're here tonight is because somebody with guts spilled them on a battlefield somewhere. Because the only reason we can be here is because somebody died. No other reason. Well, they believed. There's other reasons, but I mean because they had what we call total commitment. They died. Thousands died. It's the only reason we can be free and be here in this great building tonight, because somebody died. No other reason. That's total commitment. People get committed to many things. Down here in San Francisco, you had a guy by the name of Jim Jones. He had people committed to him. You can be committed to the wrong thing, of course. I tell people all along, if Jim Jones can get 980 people to drink cyanide and take their life, that surely you and I can find 20 people apiece that want to live. What are you totally committed to? Do you know? I can tell you, most people in this room are going to get unbrainwashed if they're brainwashed. Friend, you've got to be brainwashed to get up every day when you don't want to get up, to drive your car every day when you don't want to drive your car, and go to some place you don't want to go, and do something you don't want to do for somebody you don't want to do it for. Now that's brainwashed. See, I'm glad that I live in America because I have the right of inequality. Most people in this country today are selling equality. You ever heard people try to sell equality? If you want to be equal, then all you have to do is go to Russia or China, and there you'll be very equal. Because the greatest equality exists where the greatest lack of economic freedom exists. The greatest equality exists where free enterprise doesn't exist. So I have the opportunity and the right to be unequal by choice. And therefore I choose to pay a price that other people won't pay. I remember I used to, and still do, I chose to drive my car, and I choose to drive my car early in the morning when there are no traffic jams, so I can sleep while other people are jamming the roads. Because I found that you make a living from 8 till 5, but a life at 8 till 11 at night. The free enterprise system allows freedom. Economic freedom and personal freedom are like hand in glove. If we lose our economic freedoms, we've lost our personal freedoms. Society is like the moving train. If you kill the locomotive and kill the incentive to be productive, you automatically increase more non-producers. And friends, we got enough of those in this country today. We got 82 million people that get government paychecks once a month. Just the enormity of printing the checks that they get is expensive. Now, I don't know when most people would get concerned. Maybe when it gets to be 189,000, 189 million, we might get concerned. But there's only about 69 million productive people in America today that have to feed themselves, plus the other 82 million. We're adding 12,000 new government jobs per day, 365 days a year in this country right now. As if we didn't have enough. I've never seen a bureaucrat that didn't need an assistant to help him do nothing. Now, I'd like to say I take my hat off to certain people that work for government. I believe it in strong armed forces. I take my hat off to all the guys in here that went Vietnam, or Korea, the Second World War. You know, the Second World War started yesterday, 40 years ago, when Germany said that Poland invaded them. Of course, that wasn't true. Hitler was a liar, and the whole world knows it is a liar, because Germany invaded Poland. But you know, some of my greatest friends are Germans. Peggy and I were just over in Germany a year or so ago, and we fell in love with it. It's the government that misled the people. Our problem is not with people, it's with governments. Now, there's a lot of things going through my mind right now because I don't speak from notes, but I just want to lay a thought on you. America's in trouble. America cannot go 10 more years the way it's been going the last 10 years. It won't make it. Why has it been going the last 10 years the way it's been going? Because the whole country has been doing exactly what the people in this room have been doing. Nothing. Husband and wife canceling each other's vote out. Voting for somebody because they got pretty teeth. Or voting for somebody because they're going to give you more than the other guy is going to give you for nothing. You see, most people have been saying, let George do it. Or let the people in North Carolina do it. And they've been saying, let the people in South Carolina do it. And they've been saying, let the people in Virginia do it. And they've been saying, let the people in Oregon do it. And as a consequence, nobody's been doing it because most people have been disenfranchised in America today. They think their vote and they think they don't count. I got good news for you. Every one of us now count. And we're going to be heard from. Now you may say, how are you going to do that? Because now we have a stake in the free enterprise system. Now you see, when you don't have anything, nobody cares. When you got something, if you got some guts, you'll fight for it. Rather than lose it. And that's the position we're in. Helping people have something so they'll have something to lose, so they'll have something to fight for and stand for. Do you know what most men are doing right now in America? Watching the idiot box wearing the hair off the back of their heads. Usually with a can of beer in their hand. If you could right now have a computer readout, that would where the majority of people in America right now are in front of the television set. I believe that if you wanted to instantly improve America, if you could somehow push a button and explode every single one of them, that would instantly improve the whole country. How are we going to make a difference? Because we're going to understand what the free enterprise system is all about. You know, I'm a government expert through education. However, I knew nothing about it. I didn't know about the free enterprise system until I got in it. And then I wanted to learn about it. I had no idea what the free enterprise system was all about. I never heard of the process of duplication. Of course, I'd never heard of Amway either. But I never knew that I could make it, really. Because I thought you had to be born by the right parents, or choose the right parents when you were born, or with a silver spoon in your mouth, or else you had to invent something to get lucky, or sing a song and get on a hit parade or something. Friend, I know folks that sing songs and get on a hit parade. I know people that are born of special parents, quote and unquote. But I'm going to tell you something. I'd rather be an Amway distributor because I have more potential there than I had being born of special parents. Now, if you're sort of new in the business, don't feel bad when someone tries to steal it from you and make you feel silly because you draw circles and sell soap. Because I can tell you, if I make more money in a week or two than whoever's criticizing me makes in a year, I always figure one of us is stupid. And I know who it isn't. Now, not that money, I'm not hung up on money, but I just know that It's a way of measuring what you do. The quality of your services are measured by money in this country today, in a capitalistic society. Whatever it might be, it's a measuring stick. But see, I was taught how to fail. I have 4 degrees, and all of them taught me how to fail. I went back, remember all the courses that I took, and wrote them down, those that I can remember. And I had not one single course in college that taught me anything about personal happiness and personal success. I learned how to be a failure. I learned how to look good and smell good and be broke. I learned how to be exactly what I didn't want to be. I learned how to have not what I wanted to have. I learned it from folks that didn't have what I wanted. And if you want something, and you're going to have to learn something from somebody, check and see what they have, and see if you want it before you learn anything or take their advice. I was 48 years old this past Tuesday, and I can tell you something that I've learned. And that is, I love broke people. They're okay. But I don't take any advice at any time about anything from them. Because I don't know anything that I need to know. Now, I hope no one's feelings are hurt too much. But I used to do that, and it kept me broke. Because I found that no one can create something greater than what they are. And that's why man doesn't create God. God creates man. No man can create anything greater than what he is. And no man can show you how to create something greater than the fruit on his own tree. Unless he's tapped into somebody that's got better fruit than he's got, and he's trying to get that fruit by doing what that guy did to get the other fruit. You see, all of us have a tree. What kind of fruit do you have on your tree? Is it bitter or sweet, or is it missing? Well, friend, I want to tell you, I like the fruit on my tree. Because the fruit is human beings that have a dream that didn't have a dream. The human potentiality being brought to life in someone else. Now, I have to admit to you very quickly that I didn't get in this business. Now, someone said, I think Jim said, I got in this business for 3 reasons today. Actually, it's 5. Money, 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 money. Okay? The reason I did that is because I was sick and tired of being broke. In fact, I wasn't just sick and tired of being broke, I was sick and tired of being broke. And when you reach that point, you're ready to do something about it. And I want to tell you, I'm still working the business 4 and 5 nights every week. I don't have to financially. I do it because of responsibility. Because I have a right to do what I'm responsible of doing. I do not have a right, in my opinion, to keep the message of free enterprise, of a personal business away from new people. I have a responsibility to hang in there with them until they begin to understand it. I hope that you being here today, hope that you have an idea of where you want to be a year from now, 2 years from now. I hope you know what you're willing to pay to be where you want to be. I hope you have an idea. I hope you realize that once you totally accept the idea that you'll pay whatever price is necessary, that then you'll be there. And only you can make that decision. If there's some of you folks in here that got a lot of status problems, I would very sincerely hope that you drop that stupid junk and flush it, because it'll keep you busted and unhappy. Status is for stupid people. It's not for bright, intelligent people. Status is one of the dumbest things that I know of. See, I don't have a bit of status, but I got a whole lot of money. And I'd rather have the money than the status anyway. Status is just something people have trying to look like they got it. Status is a way of hiding from the truth. Now, another thing is, society has told a lot of you guys in here that you're too old. But that's society. And for society, once you reach 40 years of age, you're too old. But friend, I want to tell you, when you get to be 65 in Amway, you're just right. Okay? Or 75. Or 85. Forget what the world says. The world tells you how to be broke, how to be unhappy. I'll go over some figures that I heard Jim cover today. And then the study was made on the other 47% to see what happened. And the fact was that 92% of those are emotionally divorced, which leaves, like he said, 3 happy marriages out of 100. Now, when you take a look at another side of this thing and you find out a 100 sharp young men, that 25 on the way to 65, that 36 die, 54 wind up on welfare, 5 continue working, 4 can pay their bills, 1 out of 100 reaches a level of acceptable economic success, which may not be happiness and personal success, it's just money. You can come to one conclusion, that women are not happy married to broke men. If you take a look at all the unhappy, unsuccessful marriages, you're going to find that the base of the problem is a money problem. No matter what it appears to be on the surface, it is a money problem. Because what it boils down to again is simply this, that a woman wants a man and she cannot edify a mouse. A mouse is something that looks like a man that hadn't figured out what he is yet and don't want to figure it out, usually. A man is a male human being who knows that God laid upon him certain responsibilities. And that is, he gave him talents and abilities. He gave him potential. And he gave him responsibility to provide for and fill every single need of his family. Now, jobs do not answer that requirement. Until I saw the Amway plan, I didn't know how to do it. I searched for 3 years. I looked every weekend. I analyzed all the opportunities that were in the newspaper. I was going to find me something, somehow, some way, not because God said in his book that I should, just because I was sick and tired of being broke. And something inside me as a man said, you're not doing too good, Bill. You know, I can look down the road and see what city managers became, and I didn't want to become what they were becoming. I didn't want to be the negative people they were. How many of you, maybe some trial lawyers in here, have you ever seen a trial lawyer when he gets to be about 60 years old? You want to see a negative person? Go find a divorce lawyer or a trial lawyer or a dentist that's been down in the mouth for 40 years. Or a man unfulfilled. Thank God for circles. I want to commend you. I believe with all my heart that since you're here today, that somehow or other God allowed you to see those crazy circles. And I hope you realize the privilege that is. And I hope you'll thank him every night. I hope you'll get on your knees and thank him that you could see it when others can't. You see? When others can't. Now, you know, I don't know why you could see those circles. I don't know why you're here tonight. But I can tell you this, the Northwest will never be the same again after this day and yesterday. I can guarantee you that. Because when you hear and see the truth, it will bug you and bug you and bug you. It'll get inside your brain and knock your side of your temples out in your head because you cannot forget the truth when you've been living a lie. And as a city manager, I want to tell you, friends, I was living a lie of what Bill Britt really was. None of my potential was being used because I was a selfish, self-centered individual person, making decisions every day like everybody else in my own self-best interest, but not rationally, irrationally. Those of you that are sort of new, you take a strong, hard look at our eyes and our heart before you leave here, and you see if we're serious or not. We don't want you to be successful just so you can make money. We want you to be successful so this will be a better country to live in, so that your kids will have a better life, so that dad can be the hero of his own children, be edified by his own wife, and have the wife proud of him the way she wants to be. A woman wants to edify her man. She wants to respect him and admire him. She wants to love him, but she wants him to be worthy of it. She wants her man to have a dream. I don't know if you're aware of the figures in this country today, but there's over 10 million alcoholics. Half of them are kids, teenagers. There's 48 million people messing with dope in America today. 16 million are potheads. Have two things on their mind, above all other things. One is getting a fix, and the other is getting the money to get a fix. If you add those up, that's about 21 million out of 220 million. Then if you take another look at another figure, there's over 1 million pregnancies of teenage girls in America undesired this year alone. We live in a very liberalized society. We live in a society where if you want to see how not to be a man, watch television. If you want to see how not to be a woman, watch television. We live in a society where our competition, the big three companies, take their profits from selling soap and turn it right back into poison through soap operas on TV every day. Now, I'm just going to lay it on you. America is the most wonderful, beautiful country that's ever existed in the history of the world for simply one reason, that's because God has blessed it above all nations. And the reason that he blessed it above all nations is because when the pilgrims hit the seashores, their knees hit the ground, and they made this a nation under God like no other nation that's ever existed on the face of the earth. That's why we have freedom. That's why we have free enterprise. And if you want to know why people are making it in this Amway business, I'm going to tell you why. It's because God has blessed it. There's no question in my mind. I see a business that's putting God back in business and back into America. The world tries to put Satan in, and they saturate it with it because of all those kids. And I can tell you, being a city manager, I know one thing, and that's simple. When Dad hadn't got a dream, the whole family perishes. Because a woman can't edify the man, and kids learn about their daddy through their mother. And the newness wears off. And when the light isn't shining from within, there's no way a woman can fake it to her own kids about their own daddy. And when a child grows up without the father being the hero, they're going to be susceptible to all the liberalized junk that's going on in this world today. And you better put that in your pipe and smoke it and believe it, because that is a fact, and there's no question about it whatsoever. When the child can't see love from its own mother and father, you better check and see what happens to most of them later on. Because we're talking in terms of millions of young people that fall and are susceptible to the ways of this world. And I hope some of you know what I'm talking about. I have not taken a newspaper for 7.5, 8 years. I don't need to know what any reporter that I know knows. I haven't been hurt a bit by not taking them. Now, I take one out of Washington, D.C. I don't need a daily dose of garbage and negative of what's wrong all the time, because the only thing that sells is junk and garbage. Good news is no news for most people. Soap operas, boy, I hope if you ladies or anybody, you guys are watching them, you'll flush them real quick. No question about it. You see, America is nothing more than a composite of all of its citizens. Nothing more. No nation is greater than its people, and no people are greater than their dream. What made America great was its dream of its people. Those pilgrims, man, when they came over here, after that, who they sent? They emptied all the jails over in Europe. They sent all the drunks and the prostitutes, and they ridded everybody over there, all the undesirables. They sent them to America. But we all found out we have a common Father, God Himself. And in us, even though some of our forefathers weren't too hot, that human potential still lived in us, and we made this a great country. We were put down for that for many, many years, Europe, but the kids grew up. And we still have problems. The problem is America doesn't have a dream. Only about 5% of the people in this country work for themselves anymore. If you're a creative, ambitious, productive person, you're automatically almost an enemy of your government, because they want to cuddle the loser and come down hard on the winner. Just the reverse of what it should be. Nobody that gets something they've not earned, benefits from it over a long period of time. There ain't no free lunch, because when you get something you haven't earned, it always hurts you more than it could ever help you, because it deprives you. It takes away from you one of the most precious things in the whole world, and that's your ambition to rise above where you happen to be by overcoming what you are to become what you haven't been, which is better than what you have been. And today we have thousands upon thousands and millions of people believing they've got a right to someone else's productivity. Some of you in here probably from England. I'm part English myself, and I love England. I don't like the English government. I like it a little better with Thatcher in there than anyone else before. But the Prince himself was over here not long ago, and I want to quote him directly. He said that England became so concerned about the underprivileged and the downtrodden that now the whole country has become underprivileged and downtrodden. Folks, America is 30 years behind England and catching up fast. England is pretty well down the tube. They've had it. America is the freest nation on earth. Every nation that calls itself a free nation, of which there are only 10 left in the whole world, knows that if America is down the tube, the whole entire free world is down the tube. Now, how are our enemies going to put us down the tube? Simple. Destroy the family unit. Liberalize. Take away responsibility. Cuddle the loser. Come down hard on those that have incentives to rise above, to be unequal, and choose to pay a price. Make it difficult for them. And then maybe you'll get it to where only 3 families out of 100 exist. Now, I happen to own a bank with 9 other people. I like owning a bank. If you never tried it, you ought to try it sometime. But folks, I want to tell you something. The free enterprise system is in trouble because the family's in trouble. No nation has ever survived when the family unit was destroyed. Now, when there's only 3 out of 100, don't you think somebody ought to get concerned? When you have millions of kids that are alcoholics, when you have millions of kids that are dope addicts, it's worse than any war we ever had. Who's going to get concerned? It's the dreamer that makes things happen, not the non-dreamer. It's the dreamer who has the guts. It's always been the dreamer that had the guts to stand in the breach and make something happen. So when I said, hello, winners, see, you've got to be a dreamer to be a winner. In fact, it's been said many times this weekend already, but I'll repeat it again, that God said, man without vision shall perish. Now, I don't know if you figured that one out yet, but I tell people that haven't got vision, you better wear an asbestos suit because it's going to get hot where you go one day because you don't perish in heaven. And you see what's happened to a nation that has been brainwashed into liberality, into not having a dream and just getting by and going to work every day so they can come home and watch TV every night until they're bug-eyed so they can get up and go to work the next day. And so we put a man in a position where he cannot be identified totally as a man except by his physical features because he's acting like a mouse or a patsy. Folks, America is in trouble. Which means the free enterprise system is in trouble. Which means America's in trouble. I believe that God has his hand on you and I because he's got everything under control. Now, you can have any religion you want. I happen to have one of my own. And I'm not selling that tonight. I'm just being it. But I can't be what I'm not, so I am going to be what I am. And if you don't like me, I'll regret that. But I'm not going to stop being what I am because I'm going to stand for what I want to stand for until I die, until someone proves me wrong, and I'll stand for what I think is right. But I'm going to stand on my own two legs for what I believe in. Now, America and the free enterprise system needs ambitious, energetic dreamers that want to set an example with their life, that don't mind doing the types of things that other people wouldn't do because it would inconvenience them too much. Like some people get turned off because they sell soap. I tell folks all along, I'd sell horse manure if I had to make my dreams come true. I'm not hung up on soap. I'd even sell wet horse manure and bag it up if I had to make my dreams come true. I'm not hung up on how I do it. Why do we sell soap? Simple. People buy soap. Who's going to be the last person out of business if the whole country blows up? The soap salesman. If there's anybody living after it blows up, who's going to be the first person back in business? Soap salesman. There's nothing more stable that we could sell than soap. We've been blessed in so many ways. Maybe some of you are not following me when I say we're blessed in so many ways. But I believe that God's going to use a little box of soap to turn America around. Okay? Simple. You know, I believe with all my heart that is really a good one. I think God is pulling a sick one right there. Because the liberals that cannot see this thing anyway would never ever dream of how they got whooped by a box of soap. They could think of almost anything, but never a box of soap. Now, I hope that some of you that are not of my philosophy and persuasions will forgive me for having ones different from you. And if you can find me wrong, please straighten me out. I'll change if you're right and I'm wrong. But I remember Rich DeVos was talking recently on the Larry King show. And this fellow called in, this liberal called in, and he demanded equal time on the radio station. And Rich said, that'll be fine. He said, I'm here for my accomplishments. What have you accomplished? Of course, he couldn't qualify for equal time. Folks, this unusual circle drawing, soap selling business is the most phenomenal thing that's happened for business purposes in the 203-year history of America. It's what we've been waiting for all this time. It is without a doubt the best, most genuine, beautifully business opportunity that we've ever had in our 203-year history. Nothing will touch it. I started my business with 21 bucks 9 years ago, and it's over 50 million now. $21. There's over 50,000 people that are involved because they want to be. No one's making them. Can you dream of having your own $50 million a year business? Can you really? You see, there's no shortage of people to become a part of your dream. The shortage is in those that have dreams. Many of us, the Diamonds, are staying over at the Hilton Hotel. Now, Hilton himself was quite a dreamer. In fact, a few years ago, he had a small motel when he was a young man down in Southern California, and he had a dream of having the most fantastic, beautiful hotels anywhere in the world. Not only one time, but it grew on him. And you know what Hilton did? He developed the greatest chain of hotels the world has ever known. I don't care what you say, the Hilton hotels are the best hotels in the world. Now, I have no stock in Hilton. It's just a fact. You've got to face up to facts, haven't you? How many people a day are a part of Hilton's dream? Thousands and thousands. Hilton died a few months ago. How many people every day still continue to be a part of his dream? There's no shortage on people to be a part of your dream. The shortage is, how big is your dream? I have a dream bigger than Hilton's. I have a dream that we get so big in this country that we can kick some of the stinking thinking folks out of Washington and take back over that particular government that we talk about. Now, because I believe that the Founding Fathers, which created the free enterprise system, really wanted us to be free. And they intended for us, the people, to own the government, and for us to control the government, and not the government to control the people. Because they knew the tyranny that people had lived under in hundreds and hundreds of countries in the history of this world. And they came up with the Declaration of Independence, with the Bill of Rights. That's the best the world has ever seen for any nation. It gave the human beings more freedom than any nation ever had, any people in any nation ever had, and as a result we became the greatest nation on earth, bar none. Why? Because we were the freest. And where people are the freest, they're the happiest and the most productive. The freer people are, the happier they are, and the more productive they are. And I tell you, I fight for my freedom every day. Every time I run into somebody who's going to take my freedom away, they get resistance fast. We still haven't lost all of our freedoms in this country, and we can still turn them around. But there's so many laws, it's almost impossible for everybody in this room, every single one of you, to go through one day and do anything and not break somebody's law somewhere. I'm sick and tired of it. And I'm going to do something about it. Now, you say, hey, you're talking big there, Britt. All I have to do is get other people dreaming. Because dreamers care. They care about the society that their kids and their kids' kids have to live in. They care. They want to preserve the rights and freedoms that are ours, that are people trying to take away from us. You see, most people in this country are not aware that there is a planned, controlled conspiracy to wipe out freedom in the world. They're not aware of the progress that's been made. And I don't want to scare you, but don't think it's just so happened. It's not just the way that it is. And that's why it takes guts to be free. It takes guts to be a free man in a free society. Now, you can be a pansy or a patsy or a tiptoeer through the tulips, or try to act like you haven't got a responsibility if you want to, but I tell you this, the word is getting around. It can't be hidden anymore. And we got some fighters in this country. We got some people that care. And we're building an army. But not an army with bullets, an army with ballots. And the beauty is that nobody can fire anybody or tell them they're going to demote them or in any way interfere with their income. It's just that truth is truth, and we understand what it is, and we're pretty much together because there's not that many choices about truth. You know, I was a Democrat until George McGovern came along, and then I knew I wasn't what he was. I was sure of that. And then I became a Republican and met Jacob Javits and a few others like that, and I knew I wasn't that either. So now I'm an independent that votes mostly Republican. But I don't want to push that on anybody in here. It's just the way it is, and I'm telling it like it is tonight. Didn't have any notes, just talking. But I'm happy I'm an American, and I'm happy I got to struggle, and I'm happy that I'm a winner because I figure something on everything that comes up that's an obstacle in my life. Because I got a problem solver that turns them into just obstacles, and they become temporary because I'm a winner. And there ain't no getting around it. Can you see what you want your country to be like 5 years from now? 10 years from now? Do you want freedom to stay alive? Then free enterprise must exist. What must exist for free enterprise to exist? The profit motive, right? That for your productivity you can expect rewards. There's no reason to be productive if you can't expect a reward. In England, now they're trying to change the laws a little bit, but until Thatcher got in, they took 80% of your income after $40,000 a year, and then when you got investment income, it took another 18%, which meant that they kept 98 cents and gave you 2 cents out of each dollar. Wasn't that nice of them? So what did most productive people do? You better believe it, they quit producing. Do you know that every time you pass a law, every time you restrict the right of productivity and restrict the incentive to be productive, you automatically create more non-producers, and that's why we got 82 million of them in America today. America's in trouble. But I believe God's got our foot in the door because we're reestablishing the dream in America, you and I. In the living room, in the den, grassroots, where people are. You think you're going to reestablish it in the Lions Club? Forget it. Now, there's a lot of good members of the Lions Club. They got nice parks. You think you're going to do it with the Kiwanis? Forget it. Nice guys, they sing songs and eat lunches. Good. You think you're going to do it with the JCs? I've been there, forget it. Nice young guys that sell brooms and light bulbs. Get really excited about knocking on doors selling light bulbs. And they do some good things, I'm not taking that away. But they don't see the big picture. If the JCs could come out and see the big picture and see the problems with this country and find out that you've got to make the free enterprise system work before you can make people work, we'd have something. But, that isn't where it is. You know where it is? It's people that go grassroots into the living room and into the den, wherever people happen to be, in front of their TV sets, and cut them off and put up a board and a stand and draw pictures of circles on a board. That's where you get a person living again. It's sitting there dead. So some of you out here playing patty cake, be playing patty cake when you die. But I hope you know deep down inside that I'm not talking to you. Because I hope that deep down inside you know that you've got what it takes to have a dream and to pay a price. That whatever it takes, you'll overcome it. Whatever obstacles there is, you'll kick it to the side or whoop it or beat it or cut through it or go around it, under it, over it, whatever it takes. Because you've got guts. And if anyone ever told you that you could just fall off a log and be successful, they were lying to you. If you ever reach a point that one day you say, you know, I'm really a successful human being. I'm a successful man or a woman or a wife or a husband. I really feel good about where I'm going. Now, I don't mean total success, because the only successful day that I'll ever have is the day I die. That's going to be the most successful day I've ever had in my life. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But it's when you know that deep down inside of your being that you're a winner. And that you'll make your mistakes and learn from them. And that you'll not let someone take your dream away. Because when you have a dream in this business, it means that your dream involves thousands and thousands of people that want a dream like you have. You see. Can you picture us 5 years from now? Can you picture just the Northwest 5 years from now? We'll make a little pledge to you. Even with all the quitters in this room. And there's some of you going to quit. Hope you all have a good time working someone till you're 65. Some of you got too much status. Hang in there, stupid. You know? Some of you think you're too old to get excited. Go ahead and die. Some of you think you're doing pretty good. Yeah, compared to all the other losers. But for those of you that got the dream, we're going to fill up that place that Jim Brooks was talking about 5 years. 70,000 people. Okay. Now, some of you ladies in here like to say a few words to you very quickly. If you don't make your man your king, you ain't going to be his queen. If you don't make him your king, you're going to deserve what you get. Nothing. I heard a tape one time of the man that studied successful principles first more than anybody else, Napoleon Hill. He was 85 years old. He was at a meeting of some salespeople. He was just a friend. He went along with a friend that night. He was 85, still very perky, very mentally alert. And at the end of the meeting, they couldn't help but notice that there he sat out in the audience, and they had invited him to come up for just a moment. And so he came up to the microphone, and they said, Napoleon, we know you're not speaking tonight, and we're glad to have you here in the audience. You got a big hand and all that. Said, could you just say a word to us? He said, well, yes, I'll be glad to. What do you want me to say? They said, Napoleon, and we only have a few minutes, but if we were to ask you just one thing, with all of your experience, living with and knowing the most successful people in the whole world, studying the most successful people in the world through a career that spanned over 65 years, being the first man to come up with a set of success principles which you use personally to build a fortune, that you found that it didn't take being born of a special parentage or anything like that. There's a set of principles, and if you use them, you succeed, and if you don't use them, you automatically fail. What could you tell us as being the most important thing that could enter your mind about success tonight if you had to choose one subject? And he took the microphone. He said, that's no problem at all. I know exactly what it is. He said, the most important thing I've learned, I'm 85 years old, about success is simple. That behind every successful man, there's a successful woman. Oh, wait a minute. I'm finished. He says, however, all too often it's not his wife. Have you ladies ever thought of how nice the secretary looks to him sometime? When she doesn't nag him, and she thinks he's something special, with his arrow shirts on every day, and his all-unders. Very sharp, suave guy. One of the saddest things, I guess, is when there's unhappiness in a home. Seems to be no solution for it. Ladies, it's real simple. God says in his book, the Bible, he says that open hate is better than secret love. If there's anybody ought to love a man, it ought to be his wife. And she ought to tell him all the time. She ought to show him all the time. When the whole world's against him, if it is that way, she ought to be the one that's for him, and he knows it. He ought to be able to depend on her above all people to support him and know that he's something great and he has ability. I tell people all along that it's really a shame that some men have dogs that treat them better than their wives. I had a little dog for 16 years. She died here a few months ago. But if I'd ever leave to go somewhere, she'd always ask me if she could go, and I'd say either yes or no. If I'd say yes, she'd be real happy and jump in the car, and if I'd say no, she'd sort of look at me and ask me again. You know how dogs look at you? You say no, she says, you sure? I'd say, no, lady, you can't go. And then she'd get down and, say, I'll get down on her all fours and look up at you like, won't you let me go? And then, she'd beg me so hard sometimes, okay, lady, jump in. And she'd jump up and come to life and jump in the car, But if finally I'd tell her no and she couldn't go, she'd just sit there and look so sad. And as the car pulled up, she'd come behind me a little ways and just look. Maybe I'd change my mind. Every now and then I'd get the car all the way down the driveway and stop and open up the door. Come on, lady. And she'd come alive. But there's one thing for sure, whether she went with me or not. When she didn't go with me in particular, and I'd come home, she'd do a little thing. She'd put her rear end close to the ground, lift her head up, and do twirls. You ever seen dogs do that? She'd twirl around like that, and then she'd run around you. Sometimes she'd run around the driveway and run around the car several times, and then jump up on you. Just saying, I love you, I love you. You'd be gone 2 weeks, you'd come back. Where you been? I love you, I love you, I love you. Just jumping all over you. Now, how many men have wives and to have to go home? The dog, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then the woman, where you been, where you been, where you been? Thank goodness that women in this business, real women in this business, love their men, and they support them. Our divorce rate in this business, listen to this, we find that right at half the people who come in this business have been considering separation or divorce. But only less than 1% get divorced. Now that's the fruit on the tree. Now why? Why would that happen? Why would that happen? You know why? Because women fall in love with their men. Because their man gets a dream and they believe in him again. They're making a something out of a nothing. They're making a gonna be out of a has-been. Because the guy's got a dream. Let me tell you something, guys. When you got a dream and you're out there getting your teeth kicked in, your woman's going to love you. I don't care if she acts like she don't want you to be out there or not. You tell her, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do it. And if you don't help me, I'm going to do it without you. Most women need to be set down at a table if they try to fight a guy doing his business. And he needs to say a few words. Honey, I love you. But I just want to make something clear to you. I got a dream, and you married me for better or worse, and I'm going to make it better whether you like it or not. You see, I personally believe that women should have mink coats and diamond rings and Cadillacs and maids and beautiful homes. How many women in here would love to have the home of their dreams decorated with the right carpets and everything? You know, women want those things. They need those things. But guys, you got to be a dreamer to provide it. Non-dreamers have settled for homes. You know what settle for is if you can't afford the one you want? How many people you know? Oh, that's good enough. Just so it has a roof that doesn't leak. Oh, that car, that old Volkswagen is a good one. It'll get us there. Settle for a house, settle for a car, settle for clothes, settle for a vacation, settle for everything. But dreamers don't settle for, folks. Dreamers are happily discontent because they always know that things are going to get better. They always deep down believe that something's going to happen to come along and things are going to get better. Now, for you that happen to be in this room right now, like you've heard said before, that this, if you're really serious, is the worst day of the rest of your life. Now, people that never see this or see it and don't understand it, that never get involved, this is probably the best day of the rest of their life. Now, you know, Smiley's been in office now 2.5 years. And here we are, 203 years old, but it took them 2.5 years to tell us, you got to have a smaller house. You got to drive a smaller car. We have an energy shortage. Everybody thinks smaller. He didn't, you know, the one that I listen to says I can have the desires of my heart. He didn't say think smaller. What we don't have an energy shortage in America. We have a mental shortage. There's more than enough stone in the state of West Virginia to build a mansion for every human being in America. There's more than enough timber in one forest over in Russia to build a mansion for every human being in America. I believe there is up here in the Northwest too, as I've been driving along the highways. There's no shortage of board feet of lumber, that's for sure. There's a law that says just because one man lives in a mansion that another man does not have to live in a shack. There's no shortage of things that God provides for his people. There's just a shortages of guts on the part of people because they don't have dreams. That's the shortage. There's not a person in this room that cannot have a beautiful home and all the fuel you need to heat it and drive any amount of cars you want to own. The shortage is a mental shortage, not an energy shortage. You know, if gas gets to be $5 a gallon, it won't bother me. I'm going to tell you something. It won't be but a few years before you buy a car. It's going to have its own energy cell, and it'll go 100,000 miles. And the chances are it's not going to be some highly recognized university with all of the bureaucrats being paid by the government to do research to find out how to do it. It's going to be some little old enterprising guy in his garage. He's going to figure it out. You'll be able to buy a beautiful sailboat or a beautiful yacht, and it's going to have an energy cell to carry you for 10 years before you have to pull in and spend 2 hours to replace it. We have a God that loves us and never gives us a problem that we can't solve. And he never tells us to think small. He tells us how big we can think. And I go along with him, not Jimmy Carter. If you're going to succeed, it takes what? Guts. Because if you're going to succeed, you have to fight. Fight. Now, I don't mean go around beating people up with your fists. You have to have mental courage. You have to fight. You cannot be a patsy and be a winner. You have to have mental courage, and you have to be able to fight mentally, because there's always forces trying to wipe you out and rob you of your dream, and you have to be mentally stronger than the forces that are trying to take advantage of you in your life. You see, there's an old saying that says, misery loves company. And you'll find out that's very true. The way you can tell if you're really growing or not, if you've been in for a while, is to get around some of your old quote-unquote friends that didn't get involved and they're still thinking like they were, and you see if you're still thinking like they are now. If you're not, you're growing and they're not, and thank God for the difference. And then somebody's going to come along and tell you, this is another way they steal it, we got a better deal than Amway. We've been through Rush Line, used to be called Best Line. We've been through Dare to be Great. We've been through Holiday Tragic. We've been through Shackley's, Shakey's. We've been through 200 plus that were all going to beat Amway. You can't even hardly remember their names. Friend, one of the worst things anybody can do is say they're going to whoop Amway, because everybody that did's been whooped. But I guess the greatest form of flattery is imitation. And we have been highly imitated. Let me put it to you simply, friend. There ain't nobody going to beat Amway. You got the very best. You've got the very best. No question about that. The fruit's on the tree. I believe that two of the most energetic, ambitious, highly thought of businessmen in the world today are the two people that head up the corporation and own the corporation known as Amway Corporation of Ada, Michigan. All you do is check the fruit on the tree when somebody tries to whisper into your ear that they got a better deal. Tell them that Jay Van Andel is chairman of the board of the United States Chamber of Commerce, which is the highest honor that a businessman in America can have. That's it. Tell them that Rich DeVos would be the best president we've ever had since George Washington if we could get him in there. But of course that's not going to happen, because he's got a job more important. Being president of Amway is better than being president of America, that's for sure. Because it's the people that's going to make the government, not the government's going to make the people. And you see, because they had a dream, an ambition, you and I now have a dream through our ambition. Isn't it great? You know, when I first saw this plan, the same week, there was a colonel in the Army that saw it. And he didn't like it, and I did. He was a fairly intelligent person. I guess you have to have some brains to be a colonel, although I'm not sure sometimes. No offense, Walt. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention a colonel in the Air Force when I was mentioning the others. I didn't mention one, but when I mentioned the speakers on stage, did I forget another one over there? Colonel in the Air Force. Skipped by one. That's Walt and Jane Newman up there that you heard speak today. I was there and showed Walt and Jane that plan that night. Jane saw it, and old stupid Walt. I had to kick him in the teeth for him to see it, but Rex and Betty Joe's house. But he followed me the next night in a Cadillac. Did you tell him that, Walt? We went to a meeting the next night, and I was driving a motorhome, and Walt was driving a Cadillac, and he couldn't keep up with me. Successful people always drive fast and take shortcuts. You know that, don't you? Don't let any grass grow under their feet. But yeah, Rich DeVos has got to be one of the most genuine, beautiful human beings you ever saw in your life. There's no question about that, folks. This whole business has been inspired because too many wonderful things have happened. Just to give you an example, in this room tonight, which is nothing to what we'll have next year, a year from this weekend, how many people in here were actually praying for something to come along in their life? Look at the hands. You see, what we are people looking for people that are looking, and we find each other. And thank God we found each other. Let's not get hung up on who's better than who, which company is. I just point that out to you because I hope when you have people criticizing your business, because see, it's not Amway's business, it's your business. You own it yourself. They don't tell you what to do. Your upline doesn't tell you what to do. They can advise you. And we can advise you so you won't make mistakes that don't need to be made. Some of them you're going to have to make them anyway. It's the only way you learn. Some of you are so hard-headed. We love you anyway if you just hang in there, honestly. We'll hang in. As long as you're in there fighting, we'll be in your corner in the ring. When you quit fighting, friend, go ahead and die. We ain't going to be with you. We're only in the corner of people that want to fight. But don't worry about, let's don't get hung up on the money. Let's get hung up on people. Let's don't get hung up on who's better and all that stuff. Let's get hung up on free enterprise. Let's get hung up on America, where it can happen. Let's count our blessings and know that we're fortunate to be 1 in 17 that could be born in the greatest country that's ever existed on the face of the earth. I believe that God knows each and every one of us by name and knows every hair on our head. And he knows what he's doing. He's got a purpose for us. And I believe our great purpose is to not stab each other in the back and wipe each other out, but to love and care for each other. And I believe that takes guts to do that. It doesn't take guts to sit home and watch the idiot box. It doesn't take guts not to have a dream. It doesn't take guts to be broke. It takes guts to be successful because there's a fight that's involved. It's a fight for your life. It's a fight that you got to win because you'll never know happiness until you help other people know it, because nobody can have anything good unless they help other people have it too. It's just impossible. Too many people hung up on the wrong things. But I thank God all the time that I was fortunate enough to be born in America. I fought for this country over in Korea. I saw people die. It wasn't a pretty thing, and I've never talked about it in my whole life until recently. How many of you men in here have been in combat? You've seen people die around you. A bunch of them raise their hands. You see, folks, if those of us that were in service and put our life on the line so that freedom could live, we've got a right and a responsibility to make it live while we live. And it can only live if freedom, and this freedom itself, lives through free enterprise. Free enterprise. And like I said before, it's in trouble because men have lost their dream, but it's being reestablished. We're doing it tonight. We did it last week. We'll do it next week. 2 weeks from now, we'll have another one of these over on the East Coast. And they'll be just as excited as you. And they'll be saying they're just that much better than the West Coast. Because we're telling them that you're just that much better than the East Coast. We like the competition. You can always tell about a person that loves to compete a little bit. And I love a little bit of competition. Because I always know that I'll whoop whoever I'm competing with. Now, I'm not competing with the West or the East personally, because we have troops in both places. We want everybody to win. But I want America to win. Every time there's a new winner, America wins. Every time there's a new dreamer, America wins. Every time there's a happier family unit, America wins. Every time somebody sees the circles in a living room and den, America wins. Every time there's a new direct, America wins. Every time there's a new diamond, America wins big. Because it proves the free enterprise system still is alive in America today. You know, I don't need all the fine homes I've bought, but I can afford them. Peggy and I live on property worth over $1 million. It's ours. As a city manager, I could live in a $53,000 house. Quite a difference. See, I'm proving now that the free enterprise system works. I was proving before that I could be a flunky lying sideways in a public trough like there's no tomorrow. Just the other day, for the first time in 9 years, I had a city manager to call me and want to come talk to me about getting into business. And I said, look, I want to be honest with you. I thought I was the only winner being a city manager in America. If there's another one and you're it, that's going to be phenomenal. But I don't believe you can do it. So I'll give you a report a year from now. He said he had what it took. But most of them have been so brainwashed that they think that you can't live if you don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks from government. But I want to tell you, friend, there's another way. It's the free way. Because you got a dream. I used to work 40 hours a week. When I got in business for myself in this business, I worked 80 hours a week. I worked harder. Nobody could pay me to work as hard as I work right now. However, I don't even know how much I work right now. I don't keep track of the hours anymore. It doesn't make any difference. I just know that I have all the money I need to do whatever I want to with, so I'm not hung up on the money. I don't even know how much my income is. I know last year it went up $130,000 over what it was the year before. And I know it didn't change my lifestyle, so I must have had what I wanted before I got that. Now, some of you that are new, if you wondered why people applauded us when we came in here, it's because I grew up very poor. My father was an alcoholic. I was the oldest of 8 kids. But I found out who my real father is. The one that really wants me to succeed. And showed me how. By having a dream. Which means, very simply, that all of us have something that God gave us universally. That's the ability to overcome. That each and every one of us in here is an individual personal miracle. That when God made you, he threw the mold away. There never has been another one just like you, or just like me. There never will be another one just like you, or just like me. We're it. Never will be another one. What you are is your gift from him. What you become is your gift back to him. What kind of gift are you going to give to the one that gave you the gift of life? I'm going to give him a good one, friend. I'm going to give him the best one that I can, because I'm going to become the biggest dreamer that I can be. Every day I'm going to become a bigger dreamer than I was before, because I'm going to continue overcoming what I am, and I got a whole bunch of junk that I have to still overcome in my life like everybody else with my carnal mind and carnal body. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep on making the effort, and I'm going to stand up on my hind legs, and I'm going to keep overcoming to become something better all along. I'm never satisfied because I want to keep improving. I read, I listen, I share, I associate with the very best people that I can find that have done something that I can admire with their lives. This week, I happen to be on the board of directors, and I'm going to spend several days with Rich and Jay. And I'm excited about just sitting around a table where they're going to be for several hours a day at the board meeting, and all the other members of the board of directors. I'm excited about sitting around there and being a part of that, and absorbing and giving and sharing, because that's better than drinking beer in a pool hall, or watching the Idiot Box, or being in a disco, or hanging around a bar at nights. I'm excited about tomorrow. I'm excited about next year. I'm excited about the West Coast. I'm excited about your growth. I'm excited about your leadership. But I'm excited about those that I haven't met yet that are going to join the club because they got guts and they're going to pay the price. I'm excited to hear your name. I'll be excited when I hear your leaders say, "Hey, Bill, there's a couple right there that are going to do it." There's no question. They know who they are. They know where they're going. They know what the price is, and they're willing to pay it. In fact, they're excited about paying it. Now, that turns me on. You know? Wouldn't it be wonderful? Wouldn't it be wonderful if every person in this room set a goal next year to help at least 6 people become directs, which would make you a diamond immediately? Wouldn't it be something? Wouldn't it be something if we could get enough people? Wouldn't it be something if just 1,000 new people on the West Coast made diamond next year? Wouldn't that be something? That's never happened anywhere in the world of Amway. It's never happened in any country we're in. Wouldn't that be something? If some little something could happen so that about 1,000 people help just 6 people in a year. Just help 6 people. But you see, it's real easy to talk the talk. But it takes guts to walk the walk. It takes guts to make the free enterprise system work. The free enterprise system isn't just something that we just absorb or accept the way that it is. It's something that we have to make happen. It's just a right that we have to make it happen. And because we have that right, there's enough people making it happen so that those that don't can still have a good life off the productivity of those that have the incentive and are creative and productive in that process because they've got guts. And because they're fighters. I enjoy seeing a woman fighter. I enjoy seeing a couple that are both fighters, where they both have mental courage. If God took away a lot of my abilities and potentials, and he would say, "Bill, you can have a couple, I'll leave you only a couple," you know what I would ask him not to take away from me? Mental courage. I would want to keep mental courage. I would hate to live one day without mental courage. And I get upset anytime I find one man that doesn't have mental courage. Mental courage gives you the ability to fight for what you believe in when you know you're right. When you know you're right and you lay down and fail, friend, join the failure club. But when you know you're right and you hang in there, it's beautiful. So beautiful. And I can feel it in the air out here. It's just oozing out of so many people that I shake hands with, that I meet briefly. The excitement's here. The knowledge is here. The love is here. The inspiration is here. The dream is here. And we're going to do it together. There's no question about it. You see, everybody has needs. We need to be loved. We need to be respected. We need to be admired. We need to have interpersonal relationships that are successful and positive. We have needs of homes and cars. We have needs of vacations and vacation homes. We have needs of beautiful clothes. We have needs of some of the best things in life. Everybody should always have needs. There is nobody that should ever exist that's living that doesn't have a need. Anytime you've got all of your needs fulfilled, you might as well die. I hope that no one in here ever gets everything they need, because as I grow older and as I have more things, I need more things. I don't need less, I need more all along. Now, a lot of people would say, I don't need any more. Yes, I do. You see, but my needs are based on, as to whether I get them or not, are based on my faith. Now, you see, I cannot be motivated to make my needs become a reality unless I got the faith. If anybody in here doesn't make it, it isn't going to be because you don't have needs. It's going to be because the motivation isn't sufficient to make you do something to get your needs, because of one thing, your lack of confidence in self through your faith, because faith in others is no problem. Faith in self is a problem. It's called low self-image. And the only reason that people don't make it in life, once they know of a way to make it, is because of a low personal self-image. You see, a person with a low self-image has always got a money problem. A person that's got a money problem has always got a low self-image. They go hand in hand. They're together. There's only one way to get rid of a low personal self-image. There's not 10 or 15 different ways. There's one way and one way only. And I want to tell you what it is. Because if you could picture the formula in your mind, needs plus faith equals motivation. And if you could diagram faith into others and self, the problem is in self. Now, if that's the key that's missing in the formula, what can we do about it? It's very simple. We find out about ourselves and raise our own image of ourselves and our own self-image when we do one thing, and that's have an interpersonal relationship with other people. As we increase our interpersonal relationship with other people, we perceive how people receive us and perceive us. And we learn about ourselves, and what we do is learn good things about ourselves when we become persistent and consistent. When you reach a point of persistency and consistency, you will develop emotional stability. The only way we can develop emotional stability is to be persistent and consistent. And when you become persistent and consistent in your interpersonal relationships with other people, as you have your dream and help other people have their dream, you'll find out good things about yourself and raise your self-image, and then you'll have a right to the very best. And there's no other way to do it. Now, I'm going to tell you what it takes to build this business on everybody's part. I know of no exception. Other people may tell you something else, but I believe what I'm going to say. It takes 1 year on total faith, 4 or 5 nights a week on faith. It may not look like a thing in the world's happening. You may wake up in the morning and wonder if it's worth it, if anything's happening, or what have you. But it takes 1 year on total faith. Period. Of a husband and wife getting their act together, 1 year on faith. Because if these people that have been speaking to you last night and today can do it, you can do it. But every one of them, it took 1 year on total faith. But it takes 2 years of 4 or 5 nights a week. But the first year is on total faith. If you'll go the first mile, the first year on total faith, you won't have any trouble making the second year. And if you'll work 2 years on total faith, 4 or 5 nights a week, that equals freedom, in my opinion, for the rest of your life. Now, I'd work any time for 2 years to be free for the rest of my life, wouldn't you? Isn't freedom worth 5 nights a week for 2 years? That's what it takes. Now, that consistency and persistency developed through that faith on 4 to 5 nights a week for 1 year will give you the consistency in the interpersonal relationship with other people to raise self-image so that you can complete the formula of needs plus faith in self equals motivation to take the action to make the needs come true. Making sense? What I'm saying is, friend, there ain't no way to make it except go get kicked in the teeth. See these diamonds? Even in a diamond mine, when you're looking for diamonds, you have to move a ton of dirt for each carat of diamond. Now, nobody wants the dirt, they want the diamond. But you always have to go through what you don't want to get what you do want. If you don't want anything, there's nothing to go through. If you have a dream and you want something, then there's always something that you have to do that you don't want to get what you do want. There is no victory without the struggle. As has been said this weekend, quoting Dr. Schuller, there's no gain without pain. There's so many other things that you could think of to make rhyme. Are you ready for your struggle? Then you will deserve your victory. If you ever have a victory and you didn't have a struggle, you wouldn't know it. Because you couldn't really get one that way. Overcoming is the only way. How do you overcome? In the dream. How do we know you can do it? Because we've done it. I was broke 9 years ago. I had the ability, but my human potential was not being used. I was a city manager. I was a flunky lying sideways in the public trough. No offense, but that's the job of a loser. They say someone's got to do it. Yeah, let the people without the dreams do it. You see, us dreamers need to be supported by the non-dreamers. Non-dreamers are always working hard to support dreamers. You see, I'd have a tough time putting the water in the water lines and sorting sewer lines and patching the holes in the streets and changing tires on my coach and making gas and making fuel and asphalt and all those things. I got to have people who don't have a dream doing that, folks. How about you? You see? But I'd rather be the dreamer, hadn't you? Because that's a choice. I choose to be the dreamer. I choose to be creative in my life. I choose to be a man. Like Napoleon Hill says, behind every man there's a successful woman. And I got me a successful woman because she thinks I hung the moon. And she's always believed that I could do anything that I set my heart and mind to. And that's why she's a successful woman, because she's always supported me no matter what. Even when I lost, she still believed in me. In 1967, I invested $10,000 that I borrowed from a bank, and she never brought it up to me, never threw it up to me. She just said she'd keep on working. She's a winner. She's a fighter. She's a quiet fighter. You don't have to be a loud fighter. I admire sometimes quiet fighters. You just go ahead and get the job done, no matter what it takes. I'd like to tell you, ladies, I really admire women in this business. We have a lot of single women that are making a lot of guys look sick. You better believe it. We got a little old lady. Walt, is Ann Power still in the business down there? She's still kicking. She has arthritis, doesn't she? How much does she weigh, Walt? 105 pounds. How old is she, Walt? 88. How many directs does she have, Walt, in her organization? Several directs, I'm not sure, okay? 5, 3? Personally? Downline. Anyway, she's 88 years old, all been over with arthritis, isn't she? And she does a 1-minute seminar. She can hardly move her legs, right, Walt? Down in Dallas, Texas area. Fort Worth. She can't straighten her fingers out, but she makes the free enterprise system work. Okay? But 88 years old, all been over with arthritis. Here's her seminar. She points her finger at you. She can't straighten it out. If I can do it, you can do it. She doesn't need to say anything else. You see, even though she's 105 pounds and 88 years old, she has mental courage. Nobody shakes her tree. Some of you guys show this plan to somebody and you shake it all over and they say no. You say, okay, I'll quit too. They must be right. I admired them so much. I don't get excited by anybody that says no to themselves. I can't get excited about any man that doesn't do the best available to him for his family. I don't get excited by anybody that's less than what they have the ability to be. I believe God gave us responsibilities to use our potentials in the service of human beings. What's the Amway business? That's what it's all about. So you can take it or leave it. You can believe it or not believe it. You can play games with it or you can do it. Ladies, you can support your husband or you can play games with it. But I promise you women that totally support your men and get your men dreaming about this thing, that you're going to have the most exciting, wonderful, beautiful life that you could ever imagine. Because you're going to find out he's got guts. And you know when you're going to love him the most? When he comes home one night from a no-show and he's down a little bit and you can comfort him. Because that night, maybe nobody saw the plan, but the very next night may be the night that the biggest person that ever got into the business is going to show us all up. It's in. You never know. Because see, you're not fishing for fish. Every time I show this plan on the board, I'm a fisherman. I'm fishing for human beings, and you don't have to throw them back. I'd rather fish for them than fish. Now, you know, I was out on a boat for several days this past week, a sailboat, and we had a fishing line off the rear of it. And you know what we caught in 3 days? 1 fish. And we fished for 36 hours. And we caught 1 fish that we threw back because he was too little. You know what we do when we catch someone in this business? We don't throw them back. I don't care how little they are. We'll watch them grow. We'll watch them come on. How about you? Are you a fisher of men and women? That's what we're doing in that living room and den, folks. We're looking for people that are looking for people. And usually they didn't think we existed. Like I said, the husband and wife team is so important in life. Our divorce rate is under 1%. And I want you to see why I'm a very happy and fulfilled man. Peggy and I have been married 22 years. The 13th of last month, July. And they've all been wonderful, but the last 9 have by far been the best. Because you see, I'm married to a real winner. I've never heard my wife Peggy speak a bad word about anybody. Everybody that knows her knows she's totally incapable of speaking improperly about another human being. It's the way her father was. She's sweet and kind and thoughtful, but she's a workhorse. Ladies, if you think you're going to have it easy in this thing all the time, I'm not so sure about that, to be honest with you. But you're going to have the right to be by your man's side and help complete him, and be his comforter, and be his completer, and his greatest cheerleader, which is going to make you happy if you understand what I'm saying. Now, Peg doesn't have to work hard, but she enjoys it. She has this business under control. I create it and she takes care of it. So we keep her busy. But I want you to know she's a wonderful, beautiful lady. And I'm just looking for another 22 years with her. Because I think I like her and I'm going to keep her around for a while. My wife, Peg.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bill and I are just really excited about being here with you this weekend and celebrating this very special day in free enterprise, preserving the free enterprise of our country, and to help you learn more about what we need to do to keep the free enterprise going and how important our business is in this system. And to show you the people that we've brought with us this weekend. that we're so proud of them and that they just learned so much and have come so far. And for you to take a look at me and at Bill and to see that, and to know that if they have done it, that you can do it. That's the most important thing of the whole weekend. And we just want you to we want to share with you that fact that we're not that special, we're not that different from you, but we just happen to have had a dream and the courage to follow it through, and are still doing that, because even today we have many, many dreams that have not come true, but we're just excited because of the business and what we've learned in the business that they will come true. But all of this is for you too. And I'd like to take you back a little bit in our story so that you will be able to relate your lives maybe to ours. Bill said that he came from a family with an alcoholic father. Well, I was fortunate enough not to have gone through that. I came from a real good Christian home, and my dad was in his own business. He knew a lot about free enterprise and taught his family that. But we didn't call it that then. And he taught me the value of $1 and how to work hard, even at a very young age, and to be very thrifty. We were always very conservative, but we had plenty. We had what we needed. And he saw to it, and somehow or another, he knew that it was his place and his duty and responsibility to provide for everything that his family needed, and he did that. And he was a man that was greatly loved. And from my mom, I learned how to love a man and how to care for a family. And I'm so appreciative. And I took all of that for granted because I didn't realize what I was learning. But I learned it so that I was able to put it to work for the rest of my life. And when I met Bill, we fell in love and we married while he still had 2 more years at State College. And I had already started working and had worked as a secretary for about a year. So we lived on his GI Bill money and my bring home money, which really wasn't a lot. But we were happy because we were in the process of becoming. And you see, my husband at that time was a big dreamer. And he had a lot of ambition, a lot of courage, and I could see in him success. And like he said, I thought he could hang the moon. And a lot of people that I knew didn't see that in him. I don't know even if my parents saw that in him. But I did. I knew that he would be successful in whatever it was that he chose to do in life. And I wanted to be a part of it. He has always made life exciting for me. And we were excited even in school because we knew where we were going. But we had a rude awakening after all of the schooling, which took a long number of years, in getting out in the business world, in that we were such big dreamers. And you might say really that I lived on his dream, because my dream in life was to make him happy. And if he was happy, I was happy. And being a big dreamer, we had nice things, but we borrowed from the bank, and we had 3 90-day notes at the time we saw the business. So it took our money plus the bank's money to have the nice things that we wanted, like airplanes, expensive things, And he realized that if we were going to maintain the lifestyle that he had envisioned for us, that he had to make more on the side. He never thought about, getting out of the city management business, but just something on the side that we could do a lot of extra things with, and that he could keep on in his profession. And it did require, that I kept working. I didn't intend to work when I started working more than a year or 2. But sometimes, you don't have your life completely planned out, and we didn't have children, so it was not necessary for me to stop working, and we started, just really depending on my salary. And that continued for 16 years before the business provided that, we had enough for me to quit work. And when he saw the business, after looking into a lot of things, he got excited, really excited, and came home after seeing the circles that day. I had not gone with him, but he signed my name to the application. And I was in, whether I wanted to be in or not. But I have never made business decisions in the family, and he has always been the leader. And I gave him that. I knew that I had to give him that before we ever married because of his personality. His personality was an outgoing one, and mine was just the opposite. So we got along real well together. What he could do, I couldn't do. And what I could do, he couldn't do. So together we made a good one, you see. And so in choosing this way of life and in knowing that we could do this business, you know, of course he didn't know then, but he knew that it was something that he could try, and it would not take a lot of money, and we wouldn't have the risk like we had in the other adventure 3 years prior where we lost some money in the car franchise business. Well, you know, I was proud of him then, and I'm still proud of him in being able to foresee what we can do safely without risk and that kind of thing, and using good business judgment. And he knew that I would help him. But of course, he tells today that I really didn't help him for 3 months until he started making money. But I really didn't know a lot to do to help him in the beginning. I only did what he asked me to do and what I could learn to do day by day and to make it work. And as we learned gradually, we learned to be bigger dreamers, and I became more confident in the business, especially after going direct and going to Ada and seeing that big soap company in the sky and knowing that it was really there, and seeing what other people had done with their lives and testing out just a little bit how little dreams can come true, and even some of my personal ones, you know, after putting some things on the refrigerator and seeing things come true, and we just gradually learn to think bigger. And after reading and probably for the first time in our lives, really looking inside and thinking about, you know, what kind of people we were and that kind of thing, and just beginning to grow a little bit. And I was very, very proud of my husband in his profession and realized that he was somewhat a little bit dissatisfied. And through the business, though, after working and learning and growing in so many ways, that freedom came about because of the economic benefit that the business offered. First, I was able to give up my job after 16 years at his insistence. Would you ever believe that, you know, I almost didn't, but he insisted that I give up my work. And it only took me about 2 days to really enjoy my freedom and not to feel like a fish out of water, but to realize, you know, that was really where I needed to be, really a fulfilling part of my life, and it was all because of business. And this, just in a couple of months, he decided to go full-time. And this was a dream come true. Not that he saw in the business in the very beginning. I don't think we could think that big, but as it developed into, you know, more dreams coming true and everything, then he started thinking about economic freedom for himself. And it came to pass. And at that point, I saw my husband bloom and blossom in being a free man. And I saw him not relax and lay around the house and just take it easy all the time like you might think some retired people do. But he really went to work. He just really started following his dreams and became a real producer in letting his abilities just work for him. And in the past, in the city management work, he had been held down somewhat because he was always controlled by the budget or elected officials or just everybody else because he was a public servant. And in this, as he could produce just as big as he could think. And so I, for the first time in my life, saw a happy man. Well, this made me happy. And there was no other way that I could have given him this happiness other than through the Amway business. So you see, I'm thankful. I know that we are richly blessed by the business. Before we ever gave up our freedom, we did take care of those 3 90-day notes very fast. And in no other business, I know that we could not have done it that fast. I had really planned to work years and years and years when I told him that I was willing to do that, to take care of that loss that we had in the automobile business. But in just a short time, we were able to get on our feet financially. We were able to build a good bank account so that we could stop our 8-to-5 job every day and really start living and really start working for ourselves, making a profit And you know, when you make your profit, your own profit, you're liable to work more hours than you are for somebody else. But like Bill said, you forget about that. You don't count the hours. You're just making things happen. And that's the way it goes. You enjoy everything you do. I have seen my husband become a people lover. Before, he was not, because there was so much negative in his work. Everybody came to him with problems. And so at night when he would come home, he would close the door and was not excited at all when anybody would come to see us. When they would come in our Circle Drive and we'd see the lights, he would immediately disappear. And I'd have to make some excuse at the door. Or either if the phone would ring, he would say, "Tell him I'm not here." So I'd say, "Well, go out on the patio and close the door," and I'd say, "He's not in." So this is how he avoided people because of being faced with so much negative. He didn't want to see any negative anymore that day. But after this business, and he was able to give up that negative, and we got positive in our life, it changed our lives. And we are not the same two people today that we were 9 years ago when there was no positive. 9 years ago, we didn't have the same friends, and we didn't go the same places. He went to his work, and I went to my work, and we saw each other at home, and we prepared for the next day, and I sheltered him from people, and if I went anywhere, I had to go by myself. It got to a point that he didn't go home with me to see my folks. And I know this is hard for you to see him like that because he is so different today. And you can see how being the partner in a marriage like that, how it would create happiness to see the other side of Bill Britt. And he's not the same person. He's a lover of people. And I have seen him become a giver. And he was so self-sufficient before, he didn't need anybody. He didn't need people at all in any way. He made things happen, but in a different way. And in knowing that somebody has so much potential and so much ambition and so much to give, it's great to see all of that ability channeled in the right direction, and all because of the Amway business. And where do I fit into this? I fit into this because I have realized where my place is in the business. And my place in the business is to give him to people because he has so much ability, and I give him all the credit. And my place is to share him with people who need him, people that he can help, dream and have a new life and to follow their dream. And to share him without the jealousy, without the attitude that I'm being left out, and to know that, in giving, you receive. And so we don't worry about ourselves at all anymore, because in learning to be givers, you automatically receive. That's God's law. And we have been richly blessed. We have learned to be givers and to enjoy it and to be happy. And we're just excited about this new way of life. And it's all because of those crazy circles and that little box of soap. It can just take you everywhere. In fact, it has taken us to all over the world. And we've enjoyed Aruba. And before this business, I never heard of Aruba. And probably maybe some of you haven't. But it's a beautiful place, down where it's warm. And we went with a group of excited people, and the corporation paid for it. We earned it from working at the business and qualified. But it was a beautiful trip. And to St. Thomas, we've been to Puerto Rico, we've been to Canada lots of times, we've been to Hawaii twice. We have stayed at several different places and been to most all of the islands there except a couple. And we've been to Europe and over there to Rome, to Switzerland, and to Germany. We're planning to go to Rio de Janeiro in November. And virtually, we have seen almost all the world through the business. And the world has just become so much smaller for us. And it's going to more and more and more because, we're just keeping on in the business. And we're excited about it. And no other way could we see this world other than through these circles that we're sharing with people. And it's there for you too. It's a beautiful way. Travel is such a dream of so many people. And there would have been no other way with the 9-to-5 job or whatever you happen to be committed to. Well, in the first place, you couldn't be away from the office that long, right? In the second place, you wouldn't have enough money to do all of that. And because of the business and because of working really hard, all of this has come to pass. There's so many other rewards. There are many material rewards. I know from hearing all these beautiful speakers today, you know that the prophet is in the business to give you the things that you really want, like the extras, the diamonds and things like that, and the furs. And I have been so fortunate in having a dreamer and a winner for a husband. He has given me so many nice pieces of jewelry, and he really knows how to pick them out. I have never seen a piece of jewelry that I have before he actually gave it to me. He's picked out every piece that I have. And so these are the things, if that happens to turn you on, women, you can expect that when you become diamond, because I think your husband would want you to have a pretty diamond, because the business is built on duplication. And you see all these gals up line, they've got diamonds, and they're all diamonds. So I would expect, if that turns you on, to have a pretty diamond. And the furs and a lot of the extras aren't really necessary. I could just live very well without these types of things. And I would be happy, and Bill knows that. But the extras are nice. And we just don't get hung up on that. But we keep dreaming, and we keep thinking about things that are nice, and they just keep coming our way because we keep sharing that dream that makes things happen. And just because, we don't mind that work, and Bill mentioned hard work, it's not as easy as falling off a log, but it's worth it. Worth it because of the security offered. Worth it because of all the fringe benefits in the friends you'll meet in the business, the people that you'll enjoy going to all these places I've mentioned and many more, and enjoying those trips with friends, loved ones, and just having the biggest time of your life, and just enjoying each other if you're married. Joining hands and going through this thing together. Togetherness is one of the main things that will make you successful. And knowing your place, women, and being in a supportive role, and learning when to talk and not when to talk, and supporting your man and giving him courage, and just rolling with the punches and being patient and not getting upset, and just knowing that everything always happens for the good, and just always use your good judgment and being honest and having the integrity that our whole upline has, from Rich and Jay and the corporation right on down through Dexter and Bertie. They have been fantastic leaders and inspiration for all of us, and especially for me and for Bill. We've enjoyed the extras with that couple. We've traveled in Europe together, and we've just been shopping together, and we've worked together, and it's been great knowing them. They've been a great inspiration. And Bill and I have become closer as a married couple. We know our Maker better. We know that we're better Christians, and we just enjoy each other so much more than we used to, because we have this thing in common. We have a common goal that we're working toward together, and that means everything. And I really don't know where we would have been without the business, because we were drifting apart. We really, really needed this, and more than we knew then. You see, we just knew we needed something. And me especially. He had his work, and you know how men are. They get involved. They get involved in what they're doing, and sometimes they might just forget that little gal at home who's waiting and waiting and waiting. And that's what I did a whole lot of the time. I bided my time just waiting for the chance that we could go somewhere together, that we could do something, that we could get interested in something together, because I really didn't fit in too well at City Hall or politics. I'm a homebody, and I love my home, and that's where I wanted him to be, and I wanted him to be interested in that. And, I did things like join meetings, going to Junior Women's Club, and Sunday school and church activities, and playing bridge. I was in a couple of those clubs, and making pottery. And Bill tells that every piece of pottery I made, we gave it away, and then they gave it away. But my mama kept several pieces. She liked it. And so it was not time lost, because it was a way that I kept myself interested in life, and, I kept myself busy, just waiting, and growing and preparing for something really great, which was this business, which has been the answer to a lot of prayers for many, many years for me and for Bill. And in that, we're passing it on, because we know that there's so many other people who have been praying for the same thing. And if we can do it, you can do it. And we're just happy to be here and to know that we will have a part in preserving the free enterprise of our beautiful country, and all because through the circles and that crazy little box of soap. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have a few questions I'd like to ask you before we wind it up, because everything that's been said last night and today, have a seat, boils down to just a couple of things. And I'd like to ask you a couple of personal questions to everybody in here and see how you answer them. Because it all boils down to what? Your attitude. To you. America works as far as you're concerned if you work it. The free enterprise system works as far as you're concerned if you do it. If there are enough of you that make it work, then we keep our country. If there are enough of you that make freedom work, then we can keep our freedom. But when not enough people understand that freedom isn't free, then nobody can have it. Because freedom isn't free, and it never was free, and it never will be free. So I want to ask you a few questions. Is freedom your responsibility? How much of a responsibility do you have? Do you think it's someone else's responsibility? It starts at home, doesn't it? Have you ever seen some of these liberals that are going to clean up the world and got a nasty, filthy bedroom? Same thing for freedom, folks. You haven't got a right to it if you don't fight for it. And if we lose it, you haven't got a thing to say about it unless you fought for it yourself. As an individual, as a person, to understand it. Free enterprise. Have you got a responsibility to make free enterprise stay free and to work so that the profit motive is there for the individual? Can you do that working for somebody else? Not very well. You can do it by being in business successfully for yourself, where you look in the mirror and see the boss. Is that one of your dreams, to look in the mirror and say, "Hello, boss"? Is it one of your dreams to see your boss and say, "Boss, here a while back I got into a little thing of my own, and my income has reached the point that I'm going to have to tell you something. I can't be with you anymore." Or one of these days, would you like to be called in and have your boss say, "Look, you're going to have to make a decision. It's either Amway or your job." And you say, "Boss, I'm sorry, you've got to make a decision." Had a friend that had that to happen to him recently. He was already making 3 times in Amway what he was making on his job, and he was doing a much better job. He said, "If you fire me, you're stupid. I'm the best man you got." He said, "You're the one who's got to make the decision." We've got one city in North Carolina where the dog catcher was sharper than a county manager. He's going to be free and have a free family. They gave him an ultimatum. He's not catching dogs anymore. But it boils down to you. You can see these diamonds making it. You can see Peggy and I making it. Because I'm a bulldog. I get a hold and I don't let go. I've had 17 bulldogs. I know about them. In fact, Peggy got the maddest she's ever gotten with me over bulldogs. But they weren't bulldogs exactly. They were pit bulldogs. And there's a big difference. Now, they're real dogs. Now, bulldog's okay, but a pit bulldog, that's something else. You see, there's different types of dogs, just like there's different types of people. And some of them act tough, and some of them are tough. Now, pit bull is tough. My last little dog was 32 pounds, and she'd tear up any 130-pound German police dog or any other kind of dog you ever laid your eyes on. Take her about a minute and a half to get them. And they know they've been gotten, too. Because it ain't the size of the dog in a fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog that counts, friend. And I had those dogs for one reason, because they were winners. And I loved them, because they don't know the meaning of defeat. Do you? You see? It has to come from within inside. The light can burn in my chest and come out of my eyes and heart. But see, you have to have your own candle burning inside. Is yours lit? And you have to become a lamp lighter for other human beings, because that's going to be your greatest joy. It's not the amount of money you're going to make that's going to excite you the most. It's the number of friends that you're going to have through your life, because you earn the friendship that's going to really make you rich. Your friends will make you rich, not your money. Your money just allows you a lifestyle, but it's your friends that you're going to cherish. Some people come into this thing with status that's just oozing out of them, but you know, we can overcome that. A lot of people come into it believing they can't do it, but we'll prove to you you can. A lot of people come into it thinking they're too old or too fat or too skinny or too young. We'll prove to you you're just right. We found that everybody that says they can do it, and everybody that says they can't do it, that they're always right. We found that whatever you confess is what you're going to possess. And I believe that with all my heart, that everybody lives the way they speak. And that only people with low self-images speak negatively in the present and future. And that we can change that so a person can learn to speak positively in the present and future and put negative in the past, so that they develop a magnetic personality and draw people to them. Because a personality that expresses negative in the present and future is a repelling personality, not an attractive magnetic personality. That it doesn't make any difference who your parents were or what you look like, but you should make yourself look the best that you can look, because you're going to have an inner relationship with as many people as possible. But are you going to be willing to pay the price, whatever it happens to be, for you as an individual, to be worthy of making your dreams become a reality? Are you willing to be consistent and persistent? Are you willing to overcome whatever the obstacle is? You know, when deep down in your guts, you know that you'll hang in there, that you'll do whatever it takes, then it's a breeze. Because the mental battle is over. And all it is a physical fact of being somewhere every night, 4 or 5 nights a week, drawing circles in a row. You know, in front of somebody. When you reach the point that you have paid the mental price, you don't have to worry about the physical price. You'll have the strength to do it. You may have bags under your eyes. You may have ball tires on your car you got to replace. But you'll be there. And you'll do it. But it's when you're willing to make the mistakes that it takes to learn. Because all success has a foundation of failure. And when you're failing but learning happily from it, is when you're on the right road. Are you willing to overcome discouragement? Are you willing to do whatever it takes? You see. Because there will be many obstacles. Don't know what they're going to be yet, but they're not insurmountable. You see, because we want every person in this room to make it. We don't want one single person to fail. And let me explain this to you. We've never had a failure. You cannot fail in this business. Now, you can quit, but you'll never fail, because it'll work for you if you work it. Now, the biggest thing we want to teach is how to help quitters quit quitting. Because if we can get someone to quit quitting, that eventually they'll get to the top of the mountain. And when you get to the top, the view's the same for all. And we want you at the top. The room is at the top. It's crowded at the bottom. We want you at the top. Are you willing? And are you determined to do what it takes That's the question. That's the question. If you're not, guess what the alternatives are? A job. Where they're going to pay you the least they can pay you based on what it takes to replace you. Now, as a city manager, I was doing very good compared to all the losers, but doing lousy compared to a winner. I had learned to pay the price of failure, not the price of success. Where are you going to be a year from now? Are you willing to do it? Have all these folks that came from across the country, plus your 3 diamonds in the West Coast, have they proven to you today that you can do it? Beyond a reasonable doubt. Have they developed faith so that you know that if you apply yourself, that it's going to happen? Do you realize that if you don't do anything about it, nothing's going to happen? It's going to happen for you when the mental battle is paid with your mouth and you say, I'm going to do it. Whatever it takes. I don't even care what it is. I'm going to enjoy doing it. I tell you, you may get kicked in the teeth 1,000 times. All the people that laughed at me aren't laughing anymore. I'm in the same town I started in, except I've moved to a different section. I'm at the top of the hill in my town. I live at the highest place in town. I overlook everything else. How'd you like to have a home? 1,400 square feet in the living room. The whole one wall, end of the room, glass, that in the wintertime when the leaves are on the trees, you can see 3 towns, the lights at night. Fireplace in there, 9 feet wide opening. Beams out of a 200-year-old flour mill, flour still on them, big beams traversing through the room. Kitchen with 900 square feet. 9 different thermostats. Every bedroom having its own porch outside. Everything out of stone and glass and cypress on 12 acres, the most expensive in town, with natural rocks growing out of everything. Just unbelievable, like a lodge, 8,500 square feet. And then you give that to your mother to live in. How'd you like to take your mother down to the best department store in your city and tell the manager, hide all the tickets, all the price tags. This is my mother, and she can have anything in this store she wants. I don't care what it is, and don't you let her dare know what it costs. Would you like to do that? Can you see yourself in Hawaii? At the Kahala Hilton, where you go downstairs in the great dining room. They have a 7-course meal. It takes 3 hours to eat properly. They have ladies that float through the room playing violins, all playing the same tune. Music comes from every angle. Beautiful songs. Last time I was there, they were playing If There Were a Rich Man, la, da, 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 you know, from Fiddler on the Roof. I told them I was. But after that, you go out into a little cove where then that afternoon you were out there in one of these little pedal carts, you and your good friend Dex. And you had your 2 wives on a raft, and you'd hooked them onto the pedal vehicle in the water, and you were pulling them, trying to dump them off the raft all afternoon. And they were laying there in the sun, complaining that you were trying to get them wet and throw them off the raft, and we were giggling at them. You know, little boys being devilish. And then that night you go there and you throw your tucked pants up and take your shoes off and just splash through the water. It's beautiful, clear water. And then you go upstairs and there's a chilled pineapple cut into slices at the foot of your bed. Your bed's been turned back with orchids across your pillows. That's the way I was meant to live. And you take that chill pineapple and before you retire. That's my kind of life. The very best. And when you and Dex go downstairs, you go down into where they get manicure and pedicure and hairstyle and hair shampoos and everything. And you walk in there and you don't care anymore. I remember a time I wouldn't dare let a woman cut my hair. My stupidity. You go in there and they say, "What would you like to have, sir?" And we say, "Give us the works. We'll take it all. Whatever you got." Massage the whole works. And we get all pretty with manicures and pedicures and foot rubs and everything you can name. It's all good, decent stuff. Seneca Holly Hilton. And you go back upstairs and you go to your room and the girls are still out shopping. And about that time, you're reading the paper and Dex pops you with a wet towel. You got your hair all styled. "Hey, Dex, we're going out to eat tonight. Lay off, will you?" See him giggling. Pop you again with a wet towel. "Dex, I'm very good at things like that. You're ahead right now. You better stay that way. Just cool it." And then he pops you again. Giggling. And then you go over and get a towel. And you go to the door where it says "Do Not Disturb" sign. And you say, "Dex, just watch." Pow! I'd advise you not to get any more, Dex. Pow! Okay, I warned you. Then about a half an hour later, the girls walk in and the hair's all messed up. Blood coming out of the legs. All messed up. And two guys, grown men, just giggling like two little kids having a ball. Say one of the greatest things is being totally free. Totally free to turn back into a kid that loves to laugh, get excited, and loves people that are free. They're not all hung up on anything. You know, I think one of the greatest things I've seen is people enjoy themselves. These folks over here that have paid the price, we've joined a club where we love each other and respect each other. But these are real men. These are my heroes. You know, all my heroes are not people that are upline or that are big shots in this country, because to me, these are the real heroes. Even if you don't know it, they're the heroes of this country. Every single one of them are my heroes. I've got a new hero, and Theron and Darlene. They're my heroes already. I've got some more new heroes, and you know who they are. Ron and Georgia Lee. They're my heroes. And I got another hero. And boy, he's one of my top heroes, I'll tell you that. Jim Brooks. Betty Jean Brooks. They're my heroes. Mickey Hamlet's my hero. And his beautiful wife, Dottie. There's no question about it. Paul Miller was a hero. Everybody in North Carolina and all over the East Coast. Mickey Hamlet's my hero. And his beautiful wife, Dottie. There's no question about it. Paul Miller was a hero. Everybody in North and South Carolina and all over the East Coast knows Paul Miller. The name was in all the newspapers and the TVs and the radio stations. Paul Miller's a winner. Paul Miller was a hero of a lot of people, but they have forgotten him pretty much because he was a temporary hero as a football hero. But you see, when you're an Amway hero, nobody forgets you, friend. It's coming on because you're touching people's lives. So, one of my great heroes is Paul and Debbie Miller. I'll guarantee you that. Fantastic people. There's another guy that's turning this thing upside down, inside out. He's the envy of a lot of people right now because John and Jenny Bell Crow have 9 qualified voting member legs right now. They'll be double diamonds very, very shortly. And one of my heroes is John Crow. I love him. Colonel Walt and Jay Newman, they're my heroes. Walt and I have been through a lot. Walt's got over, how many missions over Vietnam, Walt? Over 100 missions over Vietnam, the war we lost, but it wasn't Walt's fault. He'd been glad to win it, and they could have. But some of our hand-shaking, hand-wringing liberals decided we should lose. And there's been somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40,000 people murdered by the folks that took over South Vietnam. Because Jane Fonda wanted us out with all the other liberals. I'll get off that, I'll get mad, you know. But one of the best buddies I've got in the whole world, and another hero I've got, is Bob Zinder and his wife Jackie. See? And of course, everybody knows about Rex and Betty Joe and myself. We go back 20-some years now. And I guess Rex has been my hero the longest. But Rex is my hero. You know, in this business, none of us are big shots. We may have a lot of nice things and homes and cars and travel, but the richest thing we have is our friends. But I was just on the boat, and we had several people on a boat, and I remember that I think it was Paul Miller was sleeping up on the top, and John Crow and Jim Brooks decided that since we were hitting some waves, and the water would splash over the bow and come up over, and that they'd help it out a little bit. So they were up through a little, what do you call it, a hatch, and every now and then they'd throw water on Paul Miller, you know, like it was the ocean. Just like a bunch of kids. Do you know that when a grown man can be like a little kid, but with responsibility, it's one of the most beautiful things in the world. I hope someday that every man in here understands what I'm saying, because we always know where to draw the line. We have 3 cardinal rules in the business. Number 1, you never, ever do anything to pass negative down an organization, ever. There's no circumstance that would allow it. Number 2, you never do anything for the first time without checking up line. That means you won't make so many mistakes. And the third thing, you never do anything to embarrass your upline in any way, shape, or form, or throw in pool, or shoot with water pistols. Someday you'll understand that if you're new. But you see, everybody's got to have heroes. I hope you have some heroes. I hope your kids have the right heroes. But you see, America's where we can have honest heroes. I hope your kids don't have the Rolling Stones as heroes, or some of these, you know, there's nothing wrong with rock music, it's the words that are satanic. The see. This KISS thing, y'all know what this KISS group stands for? What does it stand for? Kids in Service of Satan. See, folks, I don't know if you know it or not, and I'm not preaching or anything, but Satan's well and alive. And he likes jobs, and he likes people to be down and out. He likes people to have marriage problems and income problems and personal problems. He likes for them to have wrong heroes. But you see, we're overcoming him with a dream. With a dream. So I want to tell you, it's been a fantastic opportunity to be back over and see all the growth and see all the excitement. And we'll be back next year. Will you be back next year? Will you be able to say, I'm doing it? Whatever it takes. The West is going to outgrow the East. There's no question about it. We're winners. We're overcomers. And we're going to walk the walk so we can talk the talk. No question about it. That's the way that it is. We're going to live free because we're going to pay the price. No question about it. We believe in the free enterprise system. And we're going to make it happen. I'm going to support my husband. No question about it. I'm going to support my wife. No question about it. And if you're not married, you're going to do it, and that's it. And if you are married, you're going to do it, and that's it. One last thing. We'll shut up. Go home. We love you. We really do. And believe me, there's not a person in here that with the help of people that care for you, if you'll stay in there fighting, you can look around and they'll be in your corner every time. Just don't get out of the ring. You're going to find something. When a winner gets down, you never kick them because you're in trouble. And I hope you know that when you get down, it's when you're going to get tough because you've got guts. Because in order to win, you have to fight. If anyone ever tells you you can roll off a log and become successful, they're lying. You have to fight. That's it. Therefore, you can simply declare that you've got guts and that you've got fighting ability and you won't be defeated. And that's the name of that tune, as Beretta says. I like Beretta. Do you like Beretta? I like when he says, and that's the name of that tune, baby. And that's the name of that tune, folks. Let's have a beautiful tune. Let's join the club and pay the price. God bless all of you. We'll see you on the beaches of the world.